Artemis 2 is the only mission beyond Earth's orbit that NASA has completed since 1972. Space travel is fascinating and breeds optimism about scientific innovation, but the complexities of rocket science and its futuristic feel can make the missions come off as elusive. In this episode, we'll discuss the science behind the Artemis 2 mission and its scientific and social relevance. Welcome to BS, a podcast where we take an in depth look at different scientific and social phenomena and innovations whilst tying them back to broader societal perspectives and why you should care. We hope you enjoy the episode. Growing up, my favorite Greek god slash goddess was Athena, goddess of wisdom. But Artemis will suffice. She wasn't too bad, goddess of the hunt.
I actually love when we all agree to give like an inanimate object a cute name, like Artemis too. I'm like, okay, I'm vibing with that. Like I didn't need like SDKEX for like Artemis too. I'm vibing with that. Or like hurricanes and stuff like that. Like that's kind of cute.
Well, that's first of all, jump. Second of all, I used to just be like, why are we giving hurricanes cunty names, bro? I used to be like,
Oh, I
whoa.
was very big
Like,
on like this should be named like you gonna die 400. You need to run 3,000 because I'm just like y'all keep playing with these people. They're gonna think you playing like.
no, literally. First of all, guys, I tried to dress on theme for the episode. I don't know why, but this shirt made me think of space. I, once again, not really sure. Maybe because it's just black with a bunch of nothing on it. But, I was thinking today about how when the budget goes up, y'all will know. Like, when the budget goes up, y'all will know because I will be dressed head to toe. Like, my outfit will match the episode content every time. I'm gonna be Miss Frizzle up in here. Like, I'm so excited. Like, y'all will know when the budget has gone up, when the production budget has gone up. Like,
Oh yeah, like the Mew Mew and Tom Brown like collabs, like it's coming. Like, did you guys not get that memo? No, I was like searching up and down for this like black shirt with sparkles that I had, and I couldn't find it. I was like, damn, like they don't even understand my commitment right now with this sweater. But honestly, black with a
no,
bunch of nothing, closest you can get to space. So.
I mean, literally. But also, are you really in STEM slash a STEM nerd if you never dreamed of something like a career related to space once at least? Like, whether that's being an astronaut, an astrophysicist, an aerospace engineer. Like, I feel like it's a canon event, like, for any STEM nerd to want something to do with space. Like, because space is cool. Everybody thinks space is cool.
I was about to say, like, space is kind of objectively cool. Like, all the sci-fi, all the movies, all the everything. And, like, if you were a STEM nerd, there was a point where you wanted that random hyper specialist career that you didn't even understand was this specialized and, like, takes, like, 20 years of schooling. Like, if you didn't have a career that was at least 5 syllables at, like, the age of, like, 9 through 12, then, like, you wasn't getting it for real. You wasn't getting it.
Played. Like, you weren't locked in.
And honestly, on fits, I love the way the astronaut suits be looking. Like, I'm like, y'all look fly as fuck. Like,
It's a
you look
swaggy.
good.
It's swaggy. It's real swaggy.
I should have locked in just for the fit. Like, it reminded me of my mom who could not know less about baseball. She doesn't even know what a base is. Almost enrolling my little brother in baseball because she was like, the fits are cute. Like, I like that.
I
Like,
mean, but also they poured a lot of what do you call it money into the media. Like NASA poured hella money into the media for like the site like looks super sleek, super cool. A lot of different resources are accessible. All of the photos, that's the little photo, and all four of them are on the side and stuff like that. The little like moon imagery, like they knew exactly what they were doing, and that's why they should give a raise to whatever Gen Z intern was working overtime on that graphics design team. Okay, like they knew what the people wanted to see.
It worked on me. Shoot.
No, literally, no, literally. But honestly, as somebody who's not a space person, though, as somebody who objectively went into a very different field, like learning all of the terminology is confusing. Like they really mean it when they say, "Oh, this is rocket science." Like, like yeah,
My
yeah.
favorite is the term splashdown. Like I think that's so cute.
It is cute. I like it too. I like Splashdown too. Um,
All
but
right.
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, today we'll clearly be talking about the Artemis 2 launch, and I'm Gold.
I'm Ileana.
And welcome back to the lecture hall. So, like we already said, learning about space can be very like elusive because there's so much that goes into it for very obvious reasons. So we just wanted to break down the basics so you can actually keep track with all of the like hype that's going on with Artemis 2. So today we have three guided research questions. One, what is the Artemis 2 space mission? Two, what's the importance of it? And like what information do we gain from going to space? Like, are they just up there chilling and then they come back? Like, what's going on? And also, third, like what impact does space travel just have on society as a whole?
And listen, it is more than most people would think. There's so many innovations that have either come from humans trying to get into space, learnings that humans got when we went to space, or learnings of just thinking outside of the box in terms of what could it like our bodies look like, what could infrastructure look like on a planet that's not ours. And we already know that what is the limit of human creativity and innovation? There is no limit. Shout out to calculus. But what is the Artemis 2 space mission? Like Gold said, a lot of hype, you know, a lot of news, a lot of media related to it. But Artemis is actually an entire campaign by NASA. So Artemis 2 is obviously the second mission in NASA's Artemis campaign to quote unquote explore the moon for scientific discovery, technology advancement, and to gain experience for human missions to Mars. Which that last part, I'm like, ooh, we go to Mars? Okay, well, I'll be tuned in for that too. Artemis 1 was the first mission, and it was in November 2022. And that one, they sent an uncrewed Orion spacecraft to lunar orbit. So basically, nobody was aboard. They just wanted to be able to see that the spacecraft could actually do the trajectory that it set for it before, you know, they were going to put people actually on the spacecraft. And so Artemis 2 is the first crewed mission, and it will help provide critical data for Artemis 3, which I think the projections are like late 2027 to early 2028. Here's the thing, NASA often has delays for good reasons. Obviously, like you really need to crunch down to every last number, every last decimal before you can, you know, do things like send humans to the moon. But that's kind of the timeline that they've put out there. And Artemis 3 will be the first crewed landing on the moon since Apollo 17. And this is also the first time that US and Canadian astronauts have journeyed around the moon since Apollo 17, which was in 1972. So, guys, like, it's been a while, okay? Like, it's been a while since humanity has really ventured to the great outdoors like that. But it's been very cool to watch, very cool to see.
No, first of all, one with the delays, yeah, I guess that's what happens with rocket science. I mean, it could be worse. It could be SpaceX. Like they just be saying anything.
The thing is that, bro, the way they're actually like SpaceX is building stuff for NASA, like they're contracting through them, and everybody's like, yeah, like this is what all governments should do, like private contracting, all that stuff. But I'm like, SpaceX is even more behind than NASA. Like, I'm like, what is he talking about right now? Like, they keep being like, yeah, like private contracting, you know, government overbloated, blah blah. Like, we should be
That's how
more
y'all.
efficient.
That's how you know the marketing be working though. Like you can just say that you're going to Mars. You don't actually gotta go, and people gonna think you legit like that. Like you don't actually need to go. Like we are literally seeing it right now.
No,
Like
literally. But like SpaceX is currently creating a rocket that's gonna be like the tallest of like any of them that have ever. We'll see how it all works out. We'll see how it all
heavy on wheel, very much.
works out.
But honestly, like back to the contenders, not the pretenders. On Artemis 2, there were four astronauts. And honestly, I'm so glad that they were getting social media hype because, like, dang, you actually did it. Like, I think everybody said they were going to, me included, but like, you actually did it. So, first, it was the commander. That is Reed Wiseman. And he actually has a lot, obviously, a lot of experience in flight. Like, he actually used to, worked for the US Navy, and he was a flight engineer for the International Space Station, specifically Expedition 41. And even beyond that, he was also like the chief of the like astronaut office from like 2020 to 2022. So like very like storied into NASA, like okay, everybody like he's definitely a quarter zip guy over there. So like I'm
Oh,
not surprised at all that
that's
he
big
was
dog. That's big dog. Like,
like he's the one you got to talk to at the networking events, I'm sure.
no,
Um,
literally.
and then like Victor Glover, and honestly, like he got me for real just based off of the like TikToks of his daughters. Like you got proud daughters. Like what? Like literally, I was like, you are a
It's
good
all
man.
daughters. It's four daughters too. Like he's hashtag girl dad down. Like I'm like, period. I love
That's why
that.
he ain't
He
got
was
no hair, cause he take care of it. Okay.
because at the end of the day, the ball dad, like I've never seen the ball daddy stereotype fail. Like, listen.
Like he might be queen mother of that stereotype. Okay, he keeping it, he holding it down.
No,
Okay,
because when he
and
says he loves you to the moon and back, he actually means it.
exactly. He's also a pilot who also worked for the US Navy, which honestly makes sense. There's a lot of through lines between like military service in that sense and like ended up becoming an astronaut. He first went to space back in 2020 with SpaceX in their Crew 1 mission. And he was also on Expedition 64 and 65 for the International Space Station. So a lot of experience as well. Obviously, again, like wanting to do a lunar orbit, it's not for like again first timers. Um, and I really did like the like representation factor with him, like and his just cute little family. Like I'm sorry, I was buying into it fully. Like
No,
um
very cute.
yeah, again, super long resumes and like they definitely deserve to be there. But again, like the learning a little bit about them factor was also very cute to me. And there's obviously Christina Koch. Like she's been huge on social media, which honestly I've really appreciated. Like I've already learned things from her. Like I watched her video on how astronauts sleep in space and all of these questions that I think I kind of like have but never actually went out of my way to find out, especially considering that she's recording how they actually do it. So like
No,
for
that's Queen
people,
Mother. That's Queen
oh,
Mother
for sure, for
right
sure, for sure.
there.
And she's like a mission specialist on this trip. She's been on many trips with NASA. She's been on Expedition 59, 60, and 61. In fact, she actually holds the record for the woman who's had the longest single space flight, which is 328 days, which feels bonkers to me because I'd be on vacation for 2, 3 weeks feeling like a different person in a different place. Like, I don't even understand how they like spend all that time away. But yeah, definitely shout out to her. And again, like on the representation side of things, again, like love that there was a woman on this trip. We'll be putting her placard right next to Malala's, like when I need a little motivation to keep going. And then lastly, we had Jeremy Hansen, and he's actually Canadian. Come on, diversity again. I'm just playing, but he
I
worked
was
at
about to
the
say, come on, diversity for a Canadian is kind of insane, but you got it though.
like we have diversity. We have brunettes, blondes, and gingers. Like, girl, you don't know? But yeah, he started working for the Canadian Space Agency back in like 2009. He's also worked for the European Space Agency, and like they have like a CAVES program as well, where you got to do like research on like the ocean's floor, which I think is also really cool. Like he's out here doing everybody's childhood careers, and obviously now like he is working for NASA, and he's actually the first Canadian to um lead the NASA astronaut class. So come on, Mr. Worldwide. Good for him. And you know, all these astronauts, they have very extensive educational resumes. All of them have masters, clearly have bachelors, they have the masters. Physics, bioscience, like engineering, like those are basically the core of their majors too as well. So like very educated on their stuff.
No,
Congratulations.
like them resumes are stacked. I remember like looking at Victor Glover because I think he was like maybe the first one I was introduced to, and like going and like looking up his like what do you call it, like his academic background, and I was like, man, like what do you mean you have like two master's degrees, like all of these different. I was like, whoa, and they all like all of them are just like super educated, super smart. And I mean, honestly, what better of a thing to ask for, you know, the first people to really be going to the moon in however long. And then to Gold's previous point of just like how huge it is to have a woman, to have a black man, to have people who might not have even been able to step foot into certain establishments even 50 years ago are being
Don't
able
forget
to
the
do.
Canadian.
Don't forget the Canadian, like, don't forget the Canadians. Shout out to Mr. Maple Bacon. Like, and I'm just like, people who couldn't have, would have faced like immense kind of just like hardships to get to this point, being able to literally leave the Earth's orbit. So cool. It makes me think of Katherine Johnson too, and like how she crunched numbers for like that first initial, like, what do you call it? Launch of Apollo 17, and like just like it's just like wonderful to see how far we've come. I feel like as a black woman in STEM, like these stories inspire me to keep going because like as hard as it is or as hard as it can be from day to day, like you really do realize that you're doing this for the people that are coming behind you. And I can't even imagine what they feel like as literally being like, once again, a female astronaut, a black male astronaut. Even like the little like braid in space clips that have been going around of like her braid in space, and just how like braiding transcends all cultures and how it connects like women across all different regions. Like I think that this mission has really, and these astronauts and how positive they have been, it's been beyond just the science and just how cool everything is, but also just like really feeling that global tie of like who we are as a human race. Not to get all sappy and corny and kumbaya, but like I do feel like it's cool to be reminded that like we really are just on a floating rock, and like we're really more similar than we are different. And so that's really, really cool.
No, for sure. Like play We Are the World right now. Like,
We first of all, Michael Jackson will always kill me in that one clip. But anyways,
oh my the way all you had to say is that one clip and I know exactly what you're talking about.
like he's actually hilarious for that, but I'm not even finna get into a tangent. So we talked about what they were even trying to do. We talked about who was even trying to go, but how did we even go? Like and listen, y'all. There's people who are always trying to convince that the moon landing is fake, convinced that us going to the moon is fake, but no, like it's rocket science. Like there's actual like science and engineering and material science behind everything that's going on. So the rocket that actually launched the astronauts is called the Space Launch System, or SLS. Very Star Trek, very Star Wars. But it is specifically designed for deep space exploration, which literally just means, once again, like leaving the Earth. It's very tall. It's 322 feet tall, so almost 20 feet taller than the Statue of Liberty. It's 5.5 million pounds. It has 8.8 million pounds of thrust. And maybe these numbers don't mean anything to you guys, but like literally, like an apple is like, I don't even know how many ounces. So think about how huge this rocket is just to be able to launch four people, you know, that probably weigh like what, 150 pounds together. And then it has a top speed of 24,000, or not together, sorry, individually. And then it has a top speed of 24,500 miles per hour. It's very, which first of all, to me, I had to like really like sit and think about how fast these things were going, because it was like 24,500 miles per hour is insanely fast. Like I cannot in my head like I don't know. It's like really hard to like characterize because these numbers are so huge. But I mean, it's what it takes to literally once again leave the planet. And this the SLS is currently the only NASA rocket that can send Orion, which is the new spacecraft that they're using, and then astronauts and then cargo directly to the moon, all in one single launch. Now, it has kind of the basic components of any propulsion system. So there is the central stage, which houses all of the tanks, the engines, the avionics, and the attach points for the two rocket boosters. Then there's four RS-25 engines. These burn cryogenic liquid hydrogen and oxygen, Cryogenic, literally just meaning very, very, very cold temperatures. So, cryogenic liquid hydrogen and oxygen, which actually burns cleaner than the fuels that they used to use before. So, the fuel that they used for Apollo 17. And actually, because of the fact that they decided to change the fuel source, they had to completely change the way that they designed the rocket, which is very interesting, but also goes into how like engineering builds upon itself. And I thought that that was a cool fact to share. There's two side propellants or solid propellant like side booster rockets, and those actually provide the majority of thrust and steering during the first 2 minutes of flight, and then after that they are jettisoned. Jettison literally just means being discarded from the rocket, like falling off into the ocean. And then finally, there is the upper stage that's being fueled by liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. So these kind of core components are, some of them stay on, some of them end up falling off, and they're basically, once again, the rocket obviously doesn't go to space. It's just being used to kind of give the enough propulsion to get the spacecraft out into lunar orbit. And the spacecraft is, like I said, the Orion spacecraft. Victor Glover, who is the pilot, literally kind of described it as the software being the primary flyer of the spacecraft, which is different than aircraft, where it's like the pilot has the main controls and then the software is just aiding. He was like, it's actually kind of the opposite, where the software does the majority of the flying, and mission control back in Houston is doing a lot of the adjustments, but he as a pilot is kind of helping to aid in like whatever the software needs. And also, there is the crew module. So that is just a pressurized capsule where the astronauts actually live and work during the mission. It can be inhabitable for up to 21 days. Obviously, they only spent like 9.5 days. But let's always have our degrees of safety, because you never know what could go on. And then you also have the European Service Module, which is the spacecraft's powerhouse, and that supplies like the electricity, the propulsion, the thermal control, air, water, all of that good stuff. And then finally, the launch abort system, which is basically just the safety plan that they have. Because once again, we need multiple degrees of freedom if we're going to do something crazy like send people to the moon. So the launch abort system, there are multiple different motors. So there's the abort motors, which fire first. Then you have, and that generates like the thrust to get the rocket away from any immediate danger. Then you have the attitude control motors, which just steer and orient the capsule. And then finally, you have the jettison motors, which will separate the entire tower so that the parachutes of the crew module can activate and the astronauts can splash down safely in the water in case something went wrong. And I know that I just threw a bunch of information out there. I know that it can be complicated, but basically, the rocket has a bunch of thrust and a bunch of energy that is being used to propel the astronauts up, and then after that the spacecraft has multiple parts, one where they live and then the other part that supplies power and energy, and then you have an abort system in case anything in that entire sequence of steps goes wrong. And so they launched at 6:35 p.m. on April 1st 2026 from Launchpad 39B at the agency's Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and they ended up splashing down at 8:07 p.m. on a Friday off the coast of San Diego, which was a nearly 10-day journey that took them 252,756 miles from home, which is the farthest distance that any human has ever traveled from the Earth. So, I mean, we're literally doing things that have never been done before in history. We're building the biggest, most efficient rockets that we can. We're building new spacecraft that can really stand the test of time. And so, I'm clearly worked up and excited, but it's because it's all very cool and fascinating.
Yeah, honestly, that was one of the main things that I was thinking about, since there hasn't been, a space travel like this far since 1972. It's just like how much has happened in science between those times, like in terms of like the mechanics, the engineering, like literally everything, like since 1972. That I was just like super interested in just like what does that even look like now, even in terms of like what they're doing up there, like what are they studying, what do they look like what are they looking at, and like how are they measuring these things, and like it must also have advanced to a certain capacity. I mean, there's just so much going on, and I know it like takes time to build upon these things, but I'm just like, it's crazy to already see the difference. And honestly, I think that's part of the reason why like moon landing conspiracies are so common because I've always had a theory that like there's such a direct correlation between how difficult something is to understand and how likely a conspiracy theory will be literally bred from it, obviously. And I'm just like, these are incomprehensible numbers when you're like, this is something that is as large as the Statue of Liberty but can also fly. Like, even the concept of light years is not really something that humans genuinely can comprehend. We're just doing our best, like so it's like really, like, again, super interesting, but it almost seems like far from my little village human mind when like we hear 2500 miles per hour. Like what, like I thought the guy literally next to me was doing 2500 miles per hour. Like I thought that SRT was doing 2500 miles per hour. I don't know how quick they're going. um, but yeah, like, and back to the point of just like how the research and like the science have developed, like I feel like what they're doing up there, so to speak, and like the information that they're gathering has also developed. And the thing that interested me the most was just like space flight on the human body. Like I remember watching this like one random video of like if two twins, one went up in space for
Bro,
X amount of
I
time.
like that shit genuinely makes my head hurt. Like I hate when they do that. I'm like, like I can't.
And she was rotating at a specific speed, and the other one stayed at home. And when they came down, like she was
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
older.
And
I
Johnny
was
had
like,
5 apples and launched off the tree and fell at 27 miles per hour. Right, right, right,
Ileana, you might have to get the belt because I watched that video 3 times, and I was like not getting it. Like,
like, bro, it's actually hilarious. Like, I feel like the twin paradox is like one of the more common ones that they try to use to like elucidate what's going on. And I'm just like, whatever you say, buddy.
like literally whatever you say. So specifically for Artemis 2, I saw three big studies that they were doing. The first one being like measuring immune biomarkers, and it was called like Avatar. They love a cute name. And it was
Those
exploring it was exploring how like the immune system reacts to space flight, and like they obviously have like the astronauts like collect samples for them that they can use when they get home. The second one was Artemis 2 standard measures. So this was just collecting information on just like basic vitals and other physiological systems to measure like the space flight impact on the human body. And then the third one was called Archer, again, cute
I
name.
was gonna say they're
And
kind of eating with these little code names.
and it was like measuring like radiation and its impact on like the human body as like during space flight. So they were like these sensors in Orion that were collecting data on like how well the radiation shielding was working. And then they're also had like special devices that were used to like mimic the environment of like humans. Like basically they took the astronauts cells and kind of put them into like, why am I forgetting the name? It's like mimicking being in like an organ. So to see how those cells like are reacting to spaceflight, so they can really study that on a cellular level as well. Like they were very much prepared. So like I said, like beyond all of the actual parts of their own specific job they had to do, they also had to like collect samples, and like they had to like wear sleep monitors and do other things. Oh, organ on a chip. I knew it had a cute
Bro.
name. Organ on a chip devices were what it was called, that were like they were measuring the cells on and seeing how the radiation acts on a cellular level. But yeah, they were like, again, wearing sleep devices, they were collecting their spit, they were doing a lot to, help the people back home to do their own specific like physiological research when they landed. Also when
Basically
they
lab
land,
rats. Basically lab rats.
yes,
Like
yes, very much so. Like they're everything everywhere all at once, but when it's only
literally
four of y'all.
stuck in a little chamber as well. Like
And it's great for us and them, like, because obviously, if we're going to continue to ship people off of space, like, again, as we've clearly seen, people have families, they're humans with aspirations. We want to keep them safe. They've dedicated their life to making all of our lives better. We don't want them to come back just looking all kinds of crazy. So, like, it helps make sure that, like, future space flights are safer, but it also teaches us things about the human body. And again, like, looking at radiation on a cellular level, like, monitoring our immune system, doing other things like that that can possibly be extrapolated to larger society, but more importantly, it can form more research about things that are specific to us on Earth. And another thing that they were like looking at and studying was like lunar science. So Artemis 2 was used to inform a lot of the future travels that they already have planned for Artemis 3. They do want to take some like rocks back home with them. They want to explore more landforms. And Artemis 2 was kind of like helping them, one, get pictures of things, letting the astronauts like view certain things, and they're supposed to like come and report back what they've seen as well. So I thought that was really cool. There's like scoping the scenery out basically, but again, very important in order to make sure that Artemis 3 is as precise as possible. And then there's also CubeSats, and this was basically just extra information. Like, even though NASA is obviously like a US thing, other international space stations have payloads, and these are just basically what the rocket carries that it's necessary for the mission as well. So satellites are a part of your payload. Technically, the humans and the astronauts are also a part of the payload. So like other international space stations have other things on there, like whether it be their satellites or their cameras as well. So like, there's a little bit of wealth sharing and allowing them to also advance like their space stations and their studies. So and honestly, there's so much other things that they're studying as well. Like, there's a lot that goes into trying to send people to the moon. So when they get there, they're definitely not like twiddling their fingers. They're trying to like low key gather as
They
much
gotta run
information
this
as
shit like the
possible.
Marines. Do you understand? Like, it quite literally like the Marines. Like, the US government is not playing with y'all. Like, I'm so
When's the
serious.
US government ever playing with you?
Like, listen, okay, baby, because you gotta pay taxes and die. But
Literally.
but no, like, I mean, so just the wealth of knowledge that we gain from understanding how the human body reacts to space travel, innovations to even get to space travel, which, like I said before, have been implemented into actual society, and also like there is just a coolness factor of seeing how much we really can push the barriers and the boundaries. And like I said, there's like this global initiative. It's one of the few things that I feel like we can all agree upon, regardless of nationality, gender, politics. Like, going to space is cool and it's worthwhile and we should try it. But that really leads into the next question of like, okay, but what true impact does it have on society beyond just kind of the scientific innovation aspect of it? And something that I saw on the website for Artemis was that they described the Artemis mission as the next step to establishing our presence on a strategically important piece of solar system real estate. And that has a space colonization undertone that I'm not necessarily enjoying. But like, Gold, I wanted to get your thoughts because I was like, oh, like, that's what happens whenever I see anything cool that the US government is doing. I'm like, oh my God, this is so wonderful. And then there'll be that one sentence that makes me feel like, it feels like when you like sign the terms and conditions and you just like scroll all the way to the bottom and you're like, check, but then you're like, maybe there was something in there that
Eliana,
I should have paid attention to.
if I've learned anything in the years that I've been living in the United States, ain't no such thing as free lunch. I
Not once.
They
Not
are
once.
never investing in science just because it's good for like the scientific community and us as a whole. Ain't no such thing as free lunch. The second I heard the terminology real estate,
I was like, I feel like I've heard this before. I feel like I've heard this before.
like I'm having too much fun and I just get a tap on my shoulder. Like,
Like, no,
that's not
like
really
the
about.
saxophones are getting louder because what do you mean space real
They're
estate?
blaring at this point, but honestly, like, it really just threw me back to like being in grade school and learning about the space race. It was always within connection to the Cold War. Like, it was always within connection to nationalistic propaganda. I mean, when I think about like Apollo 17, when I think about any kind of like vision or aesthetic of space, I think very heavily about like, the picture of the astronaut and like the US flag and stuff like that. In fact, like even when they're looking at the moon landing conspiracies, the flag is like one of the main things that they be talking about.
Bro,
Like,
which like there's a perfectly plausible reason as to why it does not, but you know what, whatever.
it don't
I'm not even
matter.
gonna get into that.
Like, ask them if they care. Right. But yeah, like the space race started off as an arms race between the Soviet Union and the US, which makes things make a lot of sense because it's kind of like, why do we care this much, spend this much time and effort and money into this like very cool scientific thing? Like the idea that there are military backings, tapping you on the shoulder, like makes sense. And as they were like posturing like their innovation, their money, what they care about, what they represent as a country, like the space race kind of got roped into that. These headlines that they're printing on the newspapers, they're coming out. And at the end of the day, like inadvertently, it became a space of propaganda. And I would say inadvertently with multiple grains of salt, because there was definitely a lot of purposeful intent as well to kind of posture your country as big, strong, powerful, innovative, developed. Okay. Like, and I am better than you. And if there's anything out there, I need to get to it before you. Like,
Mhm.
and that kind of established like our modern space culture that we know now. And I kind of saw that with, I mean, like I already said, I was very much buying into the marketing of the four astronauts that was going up there. Like this and maybe the Olympics is the only time like I care about the US. So
No,
like I can't even
all of a
act.
sudden nationalism is at an all-time high.
Like I can't even act like it didn't quote unquote work on me, because I'm just like, yes, I do care about these people. And like, as someone who already has like a soft space about science, like seeing things like this does make me like optimistic. But at the end of the day, it does just like circle back to your like original point of that like real estate colonization undertone. Like, there's a reason that they put that flag up there. Like, there's a reason why they even cared about the space race. And it was a lot of like nationalism that was like backing this, like these developments.
Yeah, and like you said, there's often an ulterior motive when the US government decides to put this much money, this much resources, this much time and energy into something. It's one of those things where it's kind of like you just have to pick your poison, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of benefits that the everyday civilian gets from space research and space exploration. There are other maybe not so great sides. Like, for example, a lot of the rocket and a lot of the, what do you call it, Orion spacecraft are actually constructed by like defense contractors. And that is something that in the aerospace industry is like a huge thing. Whereas like the percentage of like what you can work on that is purely commercial aircraft is very small in comparison to how much of it is drones and, but the thing is, sometimes you can't even really pick and choose, because a lot of those same companies that are doing, once again, like spacecraft and commercial aircraft are also defense country like contractors, and they just happen to
Yeah.
be another side of the business. And so it really is one of those things where it's like, this is kind of icky, even though it's kind of cool, even though it does bring benefits to some people. It's in other ways being funded by the literal death and destruction of others. And I just feel like that's kind of something that we see a lot in STEM, where it's just like something that has brought great benefit to many maybe came in a way that didn't bring benefit, or maybe could have brought harm to others. And so those are the moral dilemmas that we grapple with, and things that we really should try to be hold our government more accountable to, is like the fact that y'all are consistently with these defense contractors year after year, instead of doing in-house capabilities or trying to move towards, once again, a industry that isn't so defense aligned. And then another thing that I think is interesting about everything that's going on with Artemis, and how big it's been in the news, is that it's bringing all of this like nationalism and pride to the US, but it's at the same time that the current administration is actively trying to defund NASA and is saying that NASA is one of the many bloated parts of our federal budget, even though NASA's budget for this current fiscal year, 2026, is $24.4 billion, which is 0.35% of the entire national budget as a whole. However, this current administration has proposed for 2027 budget cuts that would slash the science budget by 47% and slash the overall NASA budget by 23%. And I'm just like, at a time where like, oh, you're calling into these astronauts, and everybody's celebrating them, and they're these national heroes, and we're really pushing the bounds of human limitation again. Like, we're so back. Apollo is so back. And it's like all of these really cool things. And the science community is so hyped, but it's underpinned by an administration that for like the last year and a half has been dedicated to completely eradicating and eroding the scientific foundation and industries and institutions that this country has literally built itself off of. And it's not just NASA, it's the NIH, it's the CDC, it's so many different things that have been touched by this. And so it's almost insulting like to watch people, like, it's just like you want to take credit for something that you're actively trying to ruin. Like
Honestly, well, for one, like you're definitely right about like aerospace engineering being a weird major to be in general. Like I know the devil on y'all shoulder, aka Lockheed Martin, be whispering that hybrid job in your ear. But even beyond that, in terms of the juxtaposition of the way the US has always acted and definitely the way we are currently acting in terms of any kind of diplomacy right now is worse than abysmal. Unfortunately, like I can't even feign like fake surprise or try to bring logic into the conversation or use NASA as an example of the importance of scientific innovation when it comes to this administration because nobody cares. Okay, like cut all the cameras. Like, guys, let's be honest. It don't matter if it's logical. It don't matter if like it's necessary. It doesn't matter if it's helpful because we're not here for honesty.
I was like,
Like
we're
we're
not
not
here for
here
logical, necessary, or helpful. Like, who said we were gonna do
exactly.
that?
The objective is not to bring a overall positive in the world or in the United States. And like that is so concretely established at this point of this administration that like I be like it's almost like silly when I be bringing up they're doing something bad. Yeah, on purpose. Like that, like they love doing that. That's their favorite pastime. But like on a more positive note, I am glad that there is at least some kind of like feat of science and reminder that things matter, especially in an era of a lot of like anti-intellectualism and like you said, like defunding of all of these things. Like they are like again a shining light in that, and they are also showing a lot of like perseverance to even be able to lock in and do something like this at a time where like they are being underappreciated and demonized. So shout out to not just the four astronauts, but everybody who was a part of like making this happen. And I'm sure there were hundreds and honestly, historically, thousands and thousands of people that built up to this moment. This is a yay for science, and I'm very glad about it.
No, I mean, I agree with you. Like, there was so much work done by so many people. And I agree. Like, I think this is a statement that, like, we truly can keep pushing forward. And it is community and solidarity and collaboration that makes us great as a species. Like, the fact that every time we're faced with a problem, we find ways, we find things in our environment to adapt and to move forward to it. And so I have been very inspired by everything that's been going on with Artemis too. I know Gold is. I know so many people in my personal life and just on the internet. It's been wonderful to like geek out and nerd out with people on things, and like everybody's nerding out at the same time, and it really brings back that childlike wonder and reminds me of part of the reason why I even got into STEM. And regardless of what evil Knievel and his gang of hooligans is doing in that White House, I think that, like you said, like everybody should be incredibly proud of themselves, and it's really only up from here. I really hope that Artemis 3, which once again is supposed to be the first landing, is going to be on track. I hope that it's safe. I hope that it's even cooler. I am gonna miss the four astronauts that we had. I was like, damn, they can't come back, because I know there's gonna be another four astronauts that are gonna get their shine, and that's gonna be really cool. But I do like the crew that we had this time, and they should be very, very proud of themselves.
For sure.
But yeah, with that, we're gonna get into our bits of BS for today. My bit of BS is literally what we were just talking about, where it's just like I feel like as an engineering major and as somebody who went to an engineering school, You can never miss the jokes about how the defense companies are right behind you, baby. They right behind you, tapping you on the shoulder like, "Hey, babe, I have something for you." And I always am just kind of like, y'all will really sell your soul like that? But no, like, y'all will really gift wrap your soul, put it in a nice, beautiful heart shaped box, and hand it over to these defense companies for a $250,000 starting salary with benefits. Like, it
It ain't
really
even gotta be that, but I'm not gonna wake that up.
but like when I tell you, and the thing is, like, these companies are, I mean, it is an objective fact, like, these companies are paying buku bucks, babe. Like, I have seen these quotes, I have seen, and it's also like not just like what you would think, which would just be aerospace, and like, I'm talking mechanical, I'm talking electrical, even biomedical, like, material science, physics, math. Like, you wondering what your theoretical physics boyfriend is doing? He might actually be building bombs. He might be building bombs. He is building bombs. But anyways, I'm just joking. Not
Like them
everybody.
drones is not for concerts, sister. Like you might want to take that phone of it or pick a book up because you about to be
No,
sad.
no, literally. But yeah, no, it's like a huge stereotype across all engineering schools. But that was just something that obviously came up a lot at my engineering school, and so yeah, it's like funny, both haha and also not funny haha, where it's just like, damn, like, this is really the price for y'all. But hey, like, what can I say?
That's the dilemma about like paying people what they're worth. It's going to attract people who do not care. Like that is just true for low key every job that is even like somewhat respecting your time and giving you a salary that is livable. Hate it, but we're here. My bit of BS. This is actually some BS for real. But it made
Cause you played, but like, you played so bad.
this episode literally made me think of this guy who was studying like astrophysics that I matched with on one of the apps. And I remember calling him like Neil deGrasse Tyson, and he was eating that up. It's too easy with y'all.
Like,
It's too easy with y'all.
you played. Like, you was just like, just literally playing it at me as phone. And I could already see what your facial expression was because I know you. I know you.
First of all, like, don't feel bad for him. He wanted to be there. I'm over here like, and he's giggling, he's smiling, he's blushing. Like,
Y'all heard it here first. Gold is not a good woman. Like,
it sounded like I'm a great one. It sounded like I gave him some confidence. But hey,
you
that's
know
me.
what?
That's
And you know
me.
what? Maybe when he goes on in like 20 years, when he's like a super successful astrophysicist, like, he'll have you to thank because you really bolstered him. You gave him the confidence and encouragement that he needed.
Oh yeah, like if he ever end up on some like young girls TikTok talking about my dad going on like Artemis 47, like maybe my kids, I'm like, okay, like mom knows him. Don't ask how, but I know him. Like,
Like,
back in the
literally.
day.
No, literally. He'll owe it all to you, sister. He'll owe it all to
Thank
you. Oh wait, one final thing I want to mention is that I think it was Reed. I believe it was the commander named, and it was actually the other crew members that suggested that they name one of the craters on the moon after his late wife Carol, who sadly passed away due to cancer. She was a nurse, so they both dedicated their lives to like service and human progress. And honestly, I thought that was incredibly heartwarming because to be in the vast expanse that is space and to be looking at the moon and to only see the woman that you love. I mean, there's something so hugely poetic and wonderful about that. Humans are, I say this, I feel like, a lot in episodes where I'm like, humans are so cute. Like, as a species, like, I think we're a very cute species in the things that we do and the traditions we have. This was cool, guys. This was really cool. This was a really cool episode. I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. I know we yapped about a whole lot of nothing in between. I hope you came away with at least a little bit of an understanding of rocket science. You know, the lecture hall is always open, is always engaging, is always waiting for you. And remember to remain curious, remain educated, and always remain critical. And we will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Bye.